Save yourself.
Absolutely.
It's just yesterday we were talking about the Kaduna
Oh,
border
yes.
attack, and you heard um, the guest, a security consultant, talking about the fact that this could be a turf war. Um, some rival gangs, or is it rival bandits we're going to call them now, trying to stamp their feet and all of that. And he was literally talking tough, saying the military is already doing their bit, but they need to assert themselves a little more. Perhaps on the back of that, declaration by the president of these bandits as terrorists. My heart goes out to all of the security operatives who are doing this. Go out every day, not sure whether or not you're going to come back, and it's literally, as the president said himself, that when he signed to join the army, he literally signed his death warrant. But at the same time, we have to do everything we can to protect them. I'm sincerely at a loss right now as to what exactly is happening, because we're not fighting this battle for the first time. It's lasted for so long, and I really don't know what to make of this.
I think that's the case for a lot of Nigerians. That news came as a shocker. I mean, a big shocker. You've heard of diesel, or what, diesel finishing or not having enough fuel to take the train, the whole hog, having to stop, mid-track, and then they refueled it and all that. I mean, that was shocking in itself. But you thought maybe that's the most you could hear. By the way, I've been in that train not once. I've been, and I enjoyed the ride. I mean, alternative transport, the airport was a bit congested, as it were. So take the train, it moves slowly and you have time. But thinking about the fact that, it could have been me in that train, it could have been anybody. Sadly, there were people in that train, and some of them died, a lot of them injured. I imagine the trauma. And what our correspondent said for me, which is quite instructive, which we take on our next guest on, is the fact that, you have people in the villages who give information to the bandits, and that's another angle that
Which is not
should
the
be
first time
explored.
we're hearing
Oh,
that.
absolutely. So you have the security agencies fighting the conventional warfare. They have to lean on trust from the people. They have to get information from the people. But then you have cases, as has been reported, where the same people actually compromise and give information to the bandits. And let's just explore this further. We're joined on the program this morning by Mr. Onyekachi Adekoya, who is a security consultant, just to get the different angles to this and perhaps a way forward. Mr. Adekoya, it's good to have you on the program. I recall the last time we had a discussion on security in Nigeria. It was on the GTI, the Global Terrorism Index. And, the point we tried to make then was, yes, the deaths, according to that report, may have dropped, but the attacks have increased. Now, we've had increase in attacks, and now increase in death toll. In fact, they're now moving to areas where you'll never really expect attacks to happen. But first, let me ask you, what do you make of this attack? Did you see it coming?
Okay, thank you. Good morning. It's a sad day for Nigeria. I would say that this is clearly a terrorist attack, and Nigerians should band together and support the law enforcement. And our hearts and prayers go to the families of those who have lost people, those who have been abducted. Um, it's not one of those moments where we say, I told you so. There's nothing to gloat over the situation. It's a sad day. Uh, yes, we talked about the GTI index, and I did tell you then that the GTI report was not correct because there's been some level of media blackout, particularly in the Northeast. And yes, you're very correct when you say there's clearly movement from northeast to northwest, as I did tell you in that last discussion, that clearly these people are setting up shop from Niger to Abuja, to Kaduna, to Katsina, to Sokoto, Kebbi. Even the FCTs are washed with some of these issues. Just last week, people in Chukuku area council blocked some part of the Abuja highway, protesting incessant kidnapping, even in the FCT. And if you check that whole belt, the forest region between Katsina, that shares boundaries between Katsina, Kaduna, Abuja, Niger State, and is awash with these activities. And yeah, so there's nothing to say than to say yes, it was imminent. You had a probe attack on a rail track sometime last year. This is a repeat attack. You had an attack on the airport. So clearly, this is what terrorists do. And for me, the attack is clearly a macroeconomic attack because there's a seeming campaign to cripple Kaduna State in particular. Because once you take out access to the airport, the roads are not particularly safe, and the rail, what you find is that most risk companies like ours would advise people not to travel into Kaduna for at least the next 2 weeks until people have a fair sense of direction. And if that does happen, and that has a major impact on economic activity in the state. So it's a terrorist attack. It is calculated. There's a strategy in play. There's a bigger target in focus. And I don't think we should just isolate it as just being your typical bandit. Kaduna State is under attack from different sides, different angles, and there's a broader strategy at play.
Just yesterday we had this conversation. You may have heard me mention it earlier in my chat with Kawade, my colleague here, about when a security consultant such as yourself said this is a turf war. It's like some rival gangs or rival bandits trying to stamp their feet to know who is deadlier or who is more virulent and all of that. Do you think there is any validity to that? And they have been declared terrorists. Are we strong enough on them, or we're still being a little kid gloves with them?
Firstly, they are terrorists, no doubt about it. I think we've played kid gloves with them for a long time in delaying in classifying them as terrorists. And that delay has seen them achieve some significant gain in holding operational space, which is an issue for territory, which they clearly do control in some of those remote areas. Now, to the other issue of if this is a tough war, it's a configuration of issues, really. There are those tough wars going on, but this has nothing to do with the tough war. This is a clear, calculated attempt. They are very deliberate. You can argue that this big push by the military into the northwest is causing some of this reaction. You can argue that because of increased military presence on the Abuja-Kaduna highway, which is stifling them of their major source of income. Remember, I always say these people are first criminals. They have no ideology other than financial interest. They are not religious. They are not anything. They are part of an organized transnational criminal network. So let's classify them as what they are. They are criminals. They are, forget the terrorism is just a cloak for it. Because if it's terrorism, you don't abduct people. So clearly they've attacked a veritable platform. I travel on that train platform. I never really felt safe, maybe because of my training, particularly when you take the late night train. But this is just the chicken coming home to roost. So it goes beyond the issues of tough war. It's not. It goes beyond it absolutely.
Okay. Just a quick one, Mr. Adekoye. Now we know that this happens, and this is one of several such attacks on this particular rail track, Abuja-Kaduna, railway. What are the things you would propose as protection or proactive action we need to take in the event, God forbid, that such a thing could happen again?
Yes, it's a good question, but it's rather belated. You can't prevent what is already upon you. So we've gone past the point of prevention. We now have to deal with the issue. You can do a root cause analysis as to how did we get here. Maybe that is for tomorrow. But for now, whatever measures you take will be reactionary. Now, your reporter did suggest that this happened around Chico. The report from the NRC says this happened around Qatari. the Kari community under the Kachia local government, which is not too far from the Abuja-Kaduna highway. And this is an area that is prone and known for massive kidnap and adoption. As to what you want to do, I say this and I repeat it again, that every approach to security must be local. Okay? We must go back to that local approach. Our national security doctrine is at its best chaotic and rather confusing. We don't have that clear emphasis on granular approach to issues of security. We can't keep reacting like this. Get back local police. Let there be state police. Imagine the military. We are not even talking about defending our territorial integrity as a country. We now have a grossly domesticated military being drawn into every small reaction. I mean, there is a railway police, for crying out loud, who may still be sitting down with their head office in Lagos. I may be wrong. I don't know the latest update now. Maybe the police authorities need to come and reveal to us what's happening. They have their own intelligence. So for me, what should happen there should be a broader view to our national security posture, because clearly something or some things are not right from northwest, northeast, north central, south, south, southeast, southwest, all across the country.
Well, I
There
think
is
that's a
failure
fine
of security.
place to leave it. It's still a developing story, clearly, so we'll still be taking a look at this during the course of the day. In the meantime, we'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Onyekachi Dekoya, security consultant, for your thoughts on this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take a break now, and when we return, we'll take a look at more issues that are of importance to you and I.